Atomic Habits, Chapter 5, the best way to start a new habit. In this chapter, James Clear speaks about two key ways to start a new habit. Number one is implementation intention, and number two is habit stacking. So we'll be discussing this in this video. So what is implementation intention? Implementation intention is a plan you make beforehand about when and where to act. So what does the implementation intention do? It takes away the foggy notions like I'm going to eat healthier, or I'm going to start exercising more, I'm going to hang out with my friends more, I'm going to call more people, it's stuff like that. So these notions insinuate that you will just remember to do what you're saying you will do. And when you don't do these things, what ends up happening is you lose self-respect and others lose respect for you because people begin to think that this person is not a man of his words or a woman of his words. So this not only is unhealthy for you, it's unhealthy for your relationships with other people. So with foggy notions like this, the best way to avoid them is have something specific uh, in mind. So the way implementation intention works is briefly discussed down here. So when situation X arises, I will perform response Y. So what I wrote down as an example is when I wake up, I will perform 5 push-ups. And that, what it does is it creates a time, basically, when I wake up. This could be made more specific when I wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning, I will perform 5 push-ups. So uh, the way James Clear explained it in the book is you basically just think of it like this. I will do certain behavior at a certain time in a certain location. So when I wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning, I will perform 5 push-ups. Come on, in my bedroom. So now you have a time, you have the behavior. Okay, Outlook, just Outlook. Well, OneNote doesn't want to work with me. You have a behavior, and then you have a location. So that's what an implementation intention is. So we skipped a few bullets, so I'm going to go back onto that. Some more positive effects of having such an intention is that it allows you to say no to things that will derail you from your progress. So let's say right after work, you want to study or you want to do your college assignments, and you can make an implementation intention such that let's say you work from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So you could say when I arrive home from work at 5:45 p.m. I am going to go to my office or your bedroom wherever you study and start doing a college assignment. So now based off of this, I'm going to write it down so it's easier. I really don't like this. Doesn't want to work with me. So when I get home, when I arrive home from work at 5:45 p.m., I will do a college assignment in my living room. So that's the implementation intention. And now you know that, okay, on weekdays or whenever you work, your job or whatever, you will say no to any other obligations that happen after work. So if a friend calls you asking to hang out, you will say no because now you already have an obligation written down for you that you need to attend to. And what this will also do is it will allow you to not derail yourself off of your desired path. So you won't go out of your way to ask people to hang out because you already know you have to attend to a pre-existing obligation. So that's the positive sides of implementation intentions. Now, how do you start it? So if you're unsure of where to start, try the first day of the week. So, or you could also think of it as a first day of the month, but you want to take action sooner than later. So we'll say first day of the week. So the reason for this is that first day of the week, like Monday, is a fresh start. You could think of it like that. So if you want to start something new, it's good to start it on the first day of the week because there's a motivation there. You're on a clean slate and you can decide how this week goes. So now let's say you have a habit in mind. What are the two common cues that you're looking for? So it's time and location. Um, think of a good time to do a certain habit and also a good location. So they need to work together. If uh, your time and location contradicts the habit you're trying to do, you will not be successful in it. And we're going to discuss this later uh, down below. So let's look at some of the examples that James Clear gave. So for meditation, he said, I will meditate for 1 minute at 7 a.m. in my kitchen. For studying, I will study Spanish for 20 minutes at 6 p.m. in my bedroom. Exercise, I will exercise for 1 hour at 5 p.m. in my local gym. Marriage, I will make my partner a cup of tea at 8 a.m. in the kitchen. So each example has um, behavior, a time, and a location. So this will basically solidify your intention of doing these behaviors because they're so specific. And here's a little passage from the book, and I'm just going to read it. Give your habits a time and a space to live in the world. The goal is to make the time and location so obvious that with enough repetition, you get an urge to do the right thing at the right time, even if you can't say why. As a writer, Jason Zweig noted, obviously, you're never going to just work out without conscious thought. But like a dog salivating at a bell, maybe you start to get antsy around the time of day you normally work out. So the end goal is always to create habits, right? So the easier you can make it on yourself to pick up new habits, the easier it will be for you to change your identity to be the type of person you want to be. And then the next key thing for creating better habits is habit stacking. So this is the Diderot effect, but positive. What is the Diderot or Diderot effect? It's the habit of basically uh, doing something after after a certain behavior. So this is usually used in finance. So let's say you purchase a new couch or a new sofa as shown in the example. So um, when you purchase a sofa, let's say it's two people who live together. One of them says, "Our new sofa makes our rug look dingy. We should get a new one." And the other person could say, right, the lamp too, and the curtains maybe we should move. So this is a Diderot effect. You do one thing, and then because of that one thing, it leads to another thing. So in finances, you make one purchase, and it leads to another purchase, and then another, and so on and so forth. So because the sofa is new, you may get the feeling that, this doesn't fit in place with all of my older things, so maybe I should start replacing them. And then this kind of takes a negative context, but you could use it in a positive way by thinking of it as stacking one positive habit after the next. So the way this is set up is um, after I do my current habit, I will do this new habit. So let's say you already have a pre-existing habit of doing 5 push-ups. After I do 5 push-ups, I will make the bed. And some of the examples that James Clear gave is For, let's say, for meditation, after I pour my cup of coffee each morning, I will meditate for 1 minute. Exercise, after I take off my work shoes, I will immediately change into my workout clothes. Gratitude, after I sit down to dinner, I will say one thing I'm grateful for that happened today. Marriage, after I get into my bed at night, I will give my partner a kiss. Safety, after I put on my running shoes, I will text a friend or family member where I am running and how long it will take. So you could see some pre-existing behaviors, like for meditation, he pours a cup of coffee every morning. So, and he wants to start meditating. So what does he do? Uh, exactly or immediately after pouring a cup of coffee, he meditates for 1 minute. So that's an example of adding new habits to your to your pre-existing stack of habits. And here's a little um, image depicting that. So you have one habit, that habit has a cue, that cue leads to a craving, that craving leads to a response, and then that response leads to a reward. And what you could do is immediately after the reward phase, you could go to your next habit and repeat the process, and then go to your next one, and so on and so forth. So what James says is habit stacking increases the likelihood that you will stick with a habit by stacking your new behavior on top of an old one. This process can be repeated to chain numerous habits together, each one acting as a cue for the next. So he gave two examples of morning routines and evening routines. So I'll just go through them. So number one, after I pour my morning cup of coffee, I will meditate for 60 seconds. After I meditate for 60 seconds, I will write my to-do list for the day. After I write my to-do list for the day, I will immediately begin my first task. Or you could think of an evening routine. After I finish eating dinner, I will put my plate directly into the dishwasher. After I put my dishes away, I will immediately wipe down the counter. After I wipe down the counter, I will set out one coffee mug for tomorrow morning. So each next, each new habit follows a preceding habit. So you have some sort of order in the things that you do. And this is a little different from implementation intention because you don't have a time and location. So it's easier to stack habits than to write implementation intentions. The way I think of it is an implementation intention. I'm just going to say II because that's too much. Is an II is a method of basically starting habit number one, your fresh habit. So let's say you want to wake up at 5 a.m. That's habit number one. So you could have an intention for that, and then you could start your habit stack. So you have habit number one, and every habit that follows it is in the habit stack. So there is a need for having an implementation intention um, for certain habits because you want them to happen at specific times and specific locations. But there are other habits that can have varying times based off of um, the day that you perform them. So habit stacks are really good for that because you don't have to really think about or calculate what time you will do a certain thing. So the example I gave above of um, where is it? The example I gave about when I arrive home from work at 5:45 p.m., I will do a college assignment in my living room. So this could be changed a little bit because maybe I arrive home later or earlier. So you could just say, when I arrive home from work, I will do a college assignment in my living room. You're still giving a location because the whole point is to not make anything vague. You want to be as specific as needed. Um, so that it doesn't confuse you or you don't start rationalizing alternatives or swaying from the path that you set out for yourself. So it doesn't hurt to include a location in habit stacks, although James Clear doesn't directly mention it. Um, so I'm just going to touch on what I said earlier is be mindful of the time and place when when you're habit stacking. If you're trying to develop a habit in a place that is unnatural, then it is bound for failure from day one. And the example I wrote down is you want to meditate during the afternoon, but you work at a place where you can be called or disturbed at any point. So let's say you work in a in an environment like a hospital or some operations environment that is like a 24/7 hour shop. So um, what could happen is you're busy at one point, and then you're you have free time at another. So and that fluctuates per day. So there is no consistency there. So if you're trying to have an implementation intention in such a place, or a habit stack in such a place, then you have to be very careful of what that specific habit is. Because let's say you want to meditate, meditation requires you to be undisturbed for a specific amount of time. Now, I know 1 minute is not that much, but when you're working in a certain environment where anything could happen in a matter of seconds and you could be disturbed, then there is going to be a percentage, maybe a small percentage, but there is going to be a percentage of likelihood that you're going to sway from your habit because something came up. Um, so you really have to consider when you're most likely to be successful with the habit that you're trying to implement. And you have to keep in mind that you want to work for yourself, not against yourself. So habit stacks should be highly specific. I could wake up at 5 a.m. but may not get out of bed until much later, or go back to sleep and wake up later. The habit when I wake up I will do 5 push-ups can be vague because of two things: waking up and where push-ups are done. So, um, like what I mentioned earlier about having habit number one as an implementation intention, for me that's habit number one. So instead of uh, basically using it as part of my habit stack. Um, it is part of it, but it's kind of like a special habit because without it, I'm not able to start my habit stack. So that's why I say make habit number one implementation intention, so it's clear to you when you're supposed to perform it, and everything else that will follow it will happen naturally based off of your habit stack. So the way I could make my habit clear, and I probably did at the top, but I'm going to repeat myself. So in the morning when I wake up and get out of bed, I will immediately do 5 push-ups on the floor next to my bed. So what this does is now you have a time, now you have a behavior, and you also have a location. So this will make it easier for you to basically start off your day on the right foot. And this is just about it for the chapter, but I wanted to try something new before I ended this video. I I was trying my hand at poetry a little while ago, and I wrote one, and I'm just gonna read through it, and maybe this will become a habit in itself. Who knows? So here goes. Do not be afraid of the unseen future. Mother Nature will guide the way as it suits her. Your mind may sway as negative thoughts come, but you must keep working past the dawn of the sun. Away with the broken pieces, and onwards with the new mold. Open your mind, and you may see the shine of gold. Be not afraid to take on the harsh road, for the last thing you want is the undoing of yourself at your own accord. Don't waste your life on shallow goals, embraced in pleasure by selling your soul. Rather rid yourself of this disguise, and look in the mirror, finally meeting your eyes. Take a hard look upon thyself, for man is the creator and undoer of himself. Something must be lost before it can be found. Greatness only comes to those willing to go another round. Thank you, and I will see you in the next video. Have a nice day.